Yeah.
You talk about old age homes or old age communities. Those are people at similar ages and stages in life. And then you've got people that are always almost contradicting the sense of community. It's like, I've got to go in the other direction and be a little bit rebellious. But for the most part, I think most people gravitate towards a sense of community because we need to feel like we belong.
All right. Hello, guys. Welcome back to the ThinkerNick podcast. Today's a little bit different as we had some technical difficulties, so I am holding my microphone. Nicola, how are you today?
I'm fine, thanks, Nick. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you. So in today's episode, we're going to dive into communities, and we're going to focus more on it in a business sense, as Nicola has a lot of experience with, building and maintaining a community there. And I'll touch on sort of my experience with communities the community that I currently live in here in Vietnam. So we'll kick things off by saying, what is a community? And a community to me would basically be your social group or your tribe, as you have mentioned before, Nicola. And I know I think there's a book that you've read about on tribes and communities.
Seth Godin.
Okay.
Godin wrote a book on tribes. Yeah.
Okay. Can you touch on that a little bit? What's it about?
I mean, it's basically about finding your tribe, building a tribe, and a tribe is really a group of people with common interests, goals, or values. And the whole concept is they think that, and it tends to be a smaller, so it's not like a country, it's a community. So very much in business today, we talk about tribes.
Yeah. So why are they communities? So why are tribes so important?
I think, one of the things we've got in the world today is a lot of noise. There's the communication, the number of things coming at us is just almost ridiculous. And so I think what a tribe allows you to do is to communicate more quickly, satiate the need for a sense of belonging. You feel part of something. You can achieve more. You can learn from each other. It's a place of safety. Yeah.
Absolutely. So just touching on what you said there, the influence of a community on us as individuals in personal life is obviously massive. Like there's a saying that you become the sum of your 5 closest people in your life at one given time. Like you become like a result of them. Like you start acting in ways like they do. You start picking up habits that they have. Great example of that would be, we've had Trent on the podcast before, Quick Fix Science, and he's definitely motivated me as well as the community here to get up and exercise. And we touched on community in that podcast as well, but there's a massive community now that wants to get active and get healthy. And although I've always got out and done that, it's nice to see other people, getting on the bandwagon as well. So I'm sure you can talk about the influence in a business sense, as you'll have heaps of experience in that. What is the influence of a community in a business environment?
In business, we've sort of done it in a different way for many years. So you'll talk about centers of excellence. So sometimes at a head office level, you'll have centers of excellence, which is a community of people who are experts in a particular field. So in mining, it might be metallurgists, mining engineers, geologists, etc. You've also got communities of practice. So you've got what we call COE, Community of Excellence, and COP, Community of Practice. And a community of practice might extend beyond the specific business, but it's people who are doing things in common. So you might have an expert in a business. Let's say you've got OD, organizational design, or OE, organizational effectiveness. Now, you don't typically employ a whole team of OD specialists in your business. What you have is 1, maybe 2 people. So a community of practice allows you to connect with people in other industries, but who are doing similar things. A a center of expertise tends to be more a center of expertise within an organization. And indirectly, those are both communities, and those are both what you might call a tribe.
Yeah. So given your experience with your business, have there been other businesses that you've obviously done business with that have
Yeah.
influenced the way that you do business or the way that your business operates? Like in the sense of a community, like you're doing
Oh
business
yeah,
with
yeah, for
someone
sure.
else and you become a community and then you take on things that they do. Do you have any examples of that?
Yeah. I've never been strong on being members of groups. It's not something that has been a strength of mine, with the exception of maybe three things. The first one is I was I guess a junk faculty and currently an associate of a business school in Johannesburg called GIBS, the Gordon Institute of Business Science. And for a number of years, we worked on a very big program for a client here in South Africa. And without question, that environment became a sense of community for me. And even though I don't live in Johannesburg any longer, when I go back and I spend some time on campus, some of the people from the old community are still there. And you get that very sort of immediate sense of connection, belonging, trust, familiarity, etc. So the Gordon Institute of Business Science, known as GIBS, was very much a community for me. There was also something called EO, which stands for Entrepreneurs Organization. And EO is a community, it's a global community of entrepreneurs who focus very much on learning and development. And I was a member of that for about 7 years. And that was the first time I felt like I belonged to anything, to be fair, because I think entrepreneurs by nature are quite singular in their thinking. It's a bit like herding cats, trying to get entrepreneurs to work together. But EO felt like I was part of a pride of lions. It was a comfort in being part of a community of people that shared very similar values, goals, interests, life ambitions, and things like that.
Okay.
And then
Cool.
the third one is probably less to do with work, and I feel mostly like the black sheep, but family is community. And I know that's very important to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I've not been a massively active member. I'm always around, but I'm not a mass. I'm never around, if you know what I mean. So, but family also provides a sense of community, and I think family today also extends into your close friendship circles. You know,
For sure.
partnerships, close friends, relationships, very close business associates. That all becomes like an extension of family.
Yeah, for sure. That is very, very true. In one of the videos that I made about my lessons that I learned in Vietnam, one of the key points there, one of the key lessons were your friends do become your family, especially when you're living away from home by yourself. You know,
Yeah.
you don't really have anyone else. They literally become your family. So let's move the focus back sort of towards business and networking.
Okay.
How important is networking with regards to communities?
Wow. So I've often thought of this. It's almost like there are circles. It's like concentric circles. And I would say I've got a fairly strong network. And a network, the people in that network don't necessarily phone you every day to see how you are. That's much more a community, people who are looking out for you. But networks are trusted relationships on various levels that you can tap into to meet different needs. A friend of mine, Bill Gibson, who passed away a few years ago, very sadly, he wrote a few books and he was a fantastic speaker and quite brilliant in sales and relationship management. And he used to say time plus a genuine, sincere contribution equals a relationship, which equals a commitment from both. So time plus a genuine, sincere contribution equals a relationship, which equals a commitment from both. So when you build a network, it's one thing to put in time and to sort of bounce around a room with a business card or, you know, bumping people with your phone today and sharing your Instagram handles or your virtual cards. But it's another thing to actually build a relationship where you can rely on somebody, And I think the only way you really do that is if you do something for them, you contribute. So I frequently have people phoning me. In fact, a friend of mine phoned me last night. He's about to go through a transition in his career. And he said, Nick, can I come and spend an hour with you to talk about, where I think I can go? Now, he can do that. And I also know there are times when I can call on him if I need help and support with something else. So networks are extremely important in business.
Yeah, it's almost like that saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Who you know, yeah.
Yeah. So you've built your business from the ground up. What, or rather not what, but how do you create that community from the ground up? Do you know what I mean? How do you build or choose that community in an organization?
Well, I mean, I can't believe it. I actually started the business 25 years ago. I nearly fell over yesterday. I was chatting to a lad on the plane flying back to Cape Town, and he was like, yeah, but how long have you been in business? And I was like, 25 years, 25 years this year. And he was like, wow, that's amazing. And I never thought of it like that. It was like, I guess it is quite a feat to stay with your doors open for 25 years. The relationships and the networking start out being a little bit random because you never know who you know that knows someone that you might like to know. And I think a lot of people are quite deliberate. It's like, well, I want to meet that person and I'm going in this direction and I want to go there. But what I found is the more people you connect with, the closer everyone becomes. So you won't know when you meet someone like this chap I was chatting to on the plane, who insists that we potentially stay in touch, and a really great young guy. And I was saying to him, I'd love him to meet you when you come over. But you don't know who he knows, and he doesn't know who I know. And there might be a time in his life when he needs to connect with someone and vice versa. And I am connecting people with people constantly. Yeah. Okay. As a result of this podcast, I got a message from somebody who's living in Australia, and I've just connected one of their execs with an exec that I used to work with.
That's awesome. From the ThinkerNick podcast.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, networking. Okay, and then I read something once upon a time saying that a lot of the time people move from different communities to communities. And what I read was it basically said it is okay to outgrow your surroundings or your friends. You know what I mean? As you grow in life, sometimes you lose interest in things that you used to do. For me personally, it would be like personal growth things. I'm starting to enjoy living a healthier lifestyle than I was obviously back in university. Yep. So that the group of friends, it's not that we're not friends anymore. They're just not really my community anymore.
Right.
So why do you think people move, chop and change from community to community?
I think some people do, some people don't. But I think as you grow and your values or interests change, it's quite natural that your community might change. And, if you're addicted to something like a drug and you're hanging out with other people that take the same drug, you get a sense that that's your community, but that community is not necessarily good for you.
Yeah.
So if you want to change your behavior, it's best to do it in support. We've spoken about in habit. So then you need to find the community that supports you. I think we probably move communities less as we get older, but even older people tend to want to find a community to live within.
Yeah.
You talk about old age homes or old age communities. Those are people at similar ages and stages in life. And then you've got people that are always almost contradicting the sense of community. It's like, I've got to go in the other direction and be a little bit rebellious. But for the most part, I think most people gravitate towards a sense of community because we need to feel like we belong, and we need to feel like someone's looking out for us.
Yeah. And just on that, moving from community to community, networking, comes full circle to networking. You don't want to burn those bridges. You still want to have, those networks from past or present. I mean, regardless of what community you're in.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Well, Nicola, that is it for today's episode. Thank you very much for your time.
Pleasure. Okay.
And you have a fantastic weekend. We'll see you next
I
week.
will. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Thanks, Nick.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
For more news and content about ThinkerNick, go to www.thinkernick.com or visit our Facebook or Instagram pages @ThinkerNick.